So the 2024 Olympics was the biggest hot mess from the beginning, from the opening ceremony receiving a lot of backlash from Christians saying that it was mocking Christianity and the Last Supper, to the Olympic Village being some of the worst accommodations for Olympic athletes ever, to Jordan Chiles being stripped of a bronze medal. There's a lot to unpack here. So I first want to start with the opening ceremony. So for the opening ceremony, there was a segment where people felt that this feast betrayal was a mocking of the Last Supper. And some people felt that they were blending the Last Supper with the Feast of Dionysus. I think that's how you pronounce it. And people felt that it was just very disrespectful and mocking Christianity. And so the organizers, claimed that this was not meant to mock Christianity. This was to portray the Feast of Dionysus. It was not trying to be disrespectful. And so it just caused a lot of discourse on social media, especially from Christians feeling like Jesus is constantly disrespected and misrepresented in media and how just horrible it is. So I want to give my perspective as a Christian. What I'm about to say is going to sound unpopular, but I'm just going to say it. I thought that the discourse was a bit ridiculous, and here's why. So really, it's because I feel like it shouldn't be a shock to anyone. Like, Jesus has been misrepresented so many times in media, so many times throughout so many different facets. So I don't feel like we need to really be surprised anymore, and I feel like getting so emotionally charged over it is really not using your energy for the best thing. And even the Bible speaks about this. If you're a real Christian and you really read the scriptures, especially in Revelation, this has been prophesied, like this has to happen in order for the end to come. And it speaks about how Jesus himself spoke that, they'll hate you because they hated me. And for any non-Christian that's listening to this going like, oh my gosh, Christians always want to say that we are oppressing them and we're disrespectful and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, like, kind of not understanding that angle Christians come from. What I want to say is that, in all honesty, you can't even really speak about Jesus without people explaining that, oh, you're trying to shove your faith down my throat. You're trying to shove your religion down my throat. Now, for me personally, I have no desire whatsoever to convert anyone. I don't have that kind of power. I don't want that power. Will never, ever, 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 ever. I'd rather lay on a beach than try to convert someone in any capacity. I can't even do that. Christians, really, we can't convert. Some will try, and that they're just, biblically ignorant, but you can't convert anyone. You just share what's on your heart. For me, when I talk about the gospel, I just share it from my perspective because, if people ask me about my faith or they're curious about the hope I have, I explain it from my perspective. But it's in no way to convert anyone, but I do want to share the hope I have. I want to share what keeps me going. I want to share the kind of impact that Christ has made on my life. But it's not in an attempt to convert, because literally I do not have the time nor the care to do such a thing. So that's how I see it. But anyway, going back to the main point, I just kind of feel like, again, this is kind of part of biblical prophecy unfolding. Jesus already spoke of this. And I also feel that Christians need to remember that, this earth isn't our home, and this isn't to say, I'm not trying to say that we should just be okay with people just slandering Jesus all the time. No, I obviously it's upsetting to see, but I feel like there's a lot more to handle in and out of the church. There's a lot more to take care of and focus on inside and outside of the church than stuff on a media. Like, this is secular media, like NBC, for example, or whatever media. This is secular media. Like, this isn't to cater to Christians, really. And honestly, the Olympics itself was never a Christian event. This is an event celebrating humanity. I mean, even when you go back to like early Olympics, they were competing naked in Greece. So this was never really a Christian event. So I don't really understand the desire to want it to be portrayed in a certain way. I just think that there's more to put your energy towards. And I also think it's kind of unfair when you think about it, because a lot of people were claiming, oh, I'm going to boycott the Olympics. But there were countless fabulous Christian athletes killing it in their events and in their sports. I immediately think of Sydney McLaughlin-Laverne. That girl was killing it, man. And she was so happy. She had a smile on her face. She was speaking about the Lord. You had all these athletes that were so excited to speak on Christ. And you had this, I think this Brazilian athlete that signed language Jesus, and so it's kind of like when you boycott the Olympics, you're kind of punishing these people, and I'm not saying that as a guilt trip. I'm just saying, like, it's not really fair to these athletes that have worked so hard, and they probably didn't even know what the heck was going on with the opening ceremony. So I actually just kind of felt like it was a lot. I personally, when I was watching it, didn't even think of the Last Supper. Like, that didn't even cross my mind. But that was just me when I was watching it. So basically, that's my point. I just feel like, again, it's not like the Olympics is a Christian event to begin with. So why do you expect anything more? And just expect this kind of stuff to keep happening. It's just a part of prophecy. I also want to mention that yes, as Christians, we do need to be aware of what's going on in the world. We do need to be aware of world events, but we don't need to world watch. We don't need to be so concerned about what the world is doing that we forget about what our mission is. So that's kind of my stance on that. So moving on. I will say, if you do want to hear more of my opinion and take on different Christian topics, I do have a second channel that I'm starting to finally post on again, just my reflections and just kind of doing lifestyle in my everyday life. So if you are interested in that, you can subscribe to my second channel. Shameless plug. Don't care. I want to talk next about the disgusting conditions that were at the Olympic Village. So the conditions at the Olympic Village were literally terrible. So first you had Olympians sleeping on cardboard beds. These people are athletes that are going to be cycling, running, jumping, flipping, and you have them sleeping on cardboard? That's wild to me. That's wild to me. That's literally wild to me. And I just feel like, you know, they were trying to be sustainable because the whole point of the Paris Games was for sustainability and for economic, you know, benefits, the environment. But that's just disrespectful. That's just haphazard. Hello, it's editor me. Long time no see. I do want to add a little bit of a note that when I was actually doing more research on the cardboard beds, a lot of the athletes didn't have a problem with it actually. And they're not actually sleeping on the cardboard. It's just the bed frame. And so a lot of people had mattress pads and like different mattress toppers to make it more comfortable. So it really wasn't as crazy, but I just think it was kind of like, dang man, y'all just like didn't even offer those. I'm pretty sure people had to bring their own mattress toppers. Frederick Richard actually sent his own mattress to the Olympic Village because he was not trying to fool with the cardboard beds. So I just think it depends on your comfort level, but personally I would just be like, bro, give me the hotel. And then you had no AC. I mean, Paris was in a heat wave, yo. Paris was in a whole heat wave. Honestly, the earth, I feel like it's just been so hot this summer and all around, like it's just been so hot. And then you have no AC. So much so that an Italian swimmer named Thomas Saccone, I believe he slept out in the park because of how hot he was. And then I think if you wanted an AC unit, I think you had to get approval because I know the gymnastics team got ACs in their rooms. Like I know Suni posted on her TikTok about having an AC. So it's just really, really nuts to me that they really allowed that. And then you had food shortages. So there were food shortages, they had to ration chicken and eggs, and a lot of athletes claimed that there weren't a lot of high protein meals. A lot of it was vegan, and there wasn't a lot of seasoning, which I can understand because you don't want allergies and things like that or whatever, but they literally didn't have enough food options for people. And I'm thinking, these are athletes. The number one thing they need is fuel and food. Even for me, like I'm not an athlete no more. I used to run track, but bro, I'd be walking and I need a protein shake. Like you need fuel. So to expect these people to perform at their best and you're not feeding them properly, it just feels so like contradicting. It's like oxymoronic. It makes no sense. On the bright side, the Olympic Village did have, you know, free haircuts, free healthcare. You know, you were able to get other amenities and things like that. But I feel like the cons outweigh the pros of the Olympic Village. So next we're gonna get into the Seine River. Now the Seine River, we cannot talk about the Olympics without talking about the crap that was the Seine River. Literally crap. Literal crap that's been in that river for over a century. E. coli is all up in that thing. Protozoa from human feces is in that river, okay? Like legit E. coli. And so the Seine River has been notoriously polluted for over a century, from urban runoff, from industrial, you know, waste, and from just human feces. The swimming in the Seine was literally banned because of how polluted it is. And I feel like it's like common knowledge in Paris, don't go in the Seine. You're not even allowed to go in there. So they started a cleanup effort, but they ramped it up about a year before the Olympics. And even the mayor of Paris, Anne Hidalgo, took a swim in the Seine to prove that it was safe. So yeah, they thought it was safe, but evidently not, because 3 German swimmers got sick from swimming in the Seine River. So Leonie Beck, who I think I'm pronouncing that right, she posted on Instagram that she vomited 9 times and had diarrhea after swimming in that water. Now look, I don't care if I'm a forfeit the medal for my country. You are not making me swim in crap, okay? You are not making me do it. You are not making me do it. I don't care if I forfeit the medal. I don't care if I seem like, oh, I'm bougie. It's crap in there. It's literal E. coli. Like, that's disgusting. That's so gross. And that's just so awful that they thought that they could clean it up within a year. That's just terrible. Look, I would sue. If I got really sick from that, I'm suing. You paying my medical bills for life. For life. You cannot make me. Really, in that water? making me swim in that water? I don't know. I don't understand. I also want to touch on a few like smaller things. Like there was a hijab ban at the Olympics. Why are we banning women from being able to wear the hijabs? For the French athletes weren't allowed to wear the hijabs in particular, which I don't understand. It's just like, why would you not allow them to wear their head coverings? Why would you not? Made no sense. Then we had a South Korea and North Korea mix-up. So one of the opening ceremony, so the boat carrying the South Korean athletes at the opening ceremony were incorrectly announced as North Korea, and they were incorrectly announced in French and English. So if you don't know, North Korea is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, while South Korea is just Republic of Korea. And the parade order, when you think about the parade order, you have Greece go first. So in this parade, in this opening ceremony, Greece goes first. Greece always goes first in the Olympics because, you know, they were the ones that started it all. And then you have everybody go in order, and then the host nation goes last. And so South Korea was the 48th country in the Parade of Nations, and North Korea was 153rd. So how could you have messed up the different Koreas when their positions were that far apart? That's just wild. So, you know, all right. Yeah. There was also criticism of the cycling venues, that the road surfaces were really bad and that the road felt very slippery and loose. So their bikes really weren't getting a lot of good traction, and it was pretty dangerous. Then we also have a convicted R that wasn't allowed to compete. So I hate having to say R. If you know what I'm trying to say. A convicted R, you know, YouTube and their censorship. A convicted R by the name of Steven Van de Vold was allowed to compete in the 2024 games, but he's a convicted child R. So he R'd a 12-year-old British girl when he was 19 and pled guilty, and he said he knew of her age when he flew out to go meet with her. And he R'd her several times while her mom was out, and the girl even told him that he was hurting her. He then advised her the next morning to get a morning after pill, and then he was then caught by police because the staff at the clinic felt that this girl looked way too young, and they were really confused, so they called police, and that's how he got caught. He was extradited to the UK in 2016, so a whole 2 years after the crime, and he was sentenced to 4 years in prison in the UK, but he was transferred to the Netherlands because of a treaty between Netherlands and the UK. So he was sent to the UK to serve, or to the Netherlands to serve his sentence, and he only served 13 months of his 4-year sentence. He then had the nerve to say that the media was talking nonsense about him, so he seemed completely unrepentant. He was very disrespectful, and a lot of people felt like he had no remorse. He then later claimed that he made that choice in his life when he wasn't ready, and he was a teenager still figuring things out. I was sort of lost. Now, buddy, brother man, look, do you know how many teens be lost? I was one of them teens once upon a time who was lost and didn't know what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, what I wanted my career to be, etc., etc. But, you know, we don't decide to go and our children when we're lost. That's not how we, like, that, like, fam, really? Really? Like, really? Like, what? Like, I don't even want to keep going into it. So basically, in the end, the Netherlands Federation, whatever, felt that, you know, he had reflected, he had sought counseling, and he ended up coming out crying, saying that people were coming for him with this whole situation. And I'm just like, dude, my guy, you are a 12-year-old girl and didn't seem like you regretted it. Yeah. Anyway, that's a mess. Then we have lack of time for warm-ups. So then, speaking on Sha'carri Richardson and Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce, they literally did not have enough time to warm up for their events. And so basically they weren't allowed to enter the Olympic Village for more than an hour. And so they were victim to a last-minute rule change stating that all competitors for track and field events can only enter through the main gate on team buses. And so Sha'carri and Shelly were not staying in the Olympic Village. They were staying in separate accommodations. So they weren't made aware of this rule. And there's video of, I think, Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce just sitting there like, why won't y'all let me in? Do y'all not have security that even know who these athletes are? And these athletes are like very top billing people in their sport. So to not allow them in is just insane. And I think it really screwed with their race. Shelly Ann ended up dropping out of the race. So it's just really insane that happened. Just a lot of disorganization there. Now we're going to get into the gymnastics drama. So, oh my goodness, this is just, I think, one of the biggest scandals to come from the Olympics. I mean, one of the biggest. And, you know, I don't even want to get into Mykayla Skinner. If you know about Mykayla Skinner, you know about Mykayla Skinner. I don't even want to get into all that. So Mykayla Skinner was very disrespectful to the Olympics gymnastics team.
But besides Simone, I feel like the talent and the depth just isn't like what it used to be. I just noticed, like, I mean, obviously a lot of girls don't work as hard. The girls just don't have the work ethic.
Kind of complaining that, oh, these girls don't want to work as hard besides Simone. You know, trying to get on Simone's good side, buddy. But then she disrespected Simone's teammates. So obviously Simone is gonna come and defend her teammates, especially considering that Simone is the leader of this team and she's the oldest. So I'm sure she just has that natural protective bone in her body for them. So ridiculous, but we're not going to focus on all of that. Real quick, before I get into the mess with Jordan Chiles, I also want to talk about the balance beam event. So the balance beam final was horrible. So you had about 5 out of the 8 gymnasts, and I was watching this live and I was so shook at how they kept falling, and they all seemed to be falling in the same spot. And even Suni and Simone fell. And Simone usually never falls on her flight series. I think I heard commentary that Simone never falls, so to have her fall was crazy. And Suni spoke about how that it was very quiet in the arena, so it was kind of a lot of pressure for them. You know, it was a lot of pressure with it being so quiet in the arena when they're used to there being a lot of noise in their home gym. So when they're training at home, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of stuff going on, but when it's dead silent like that, they can't really focus. And, you know, apparently it was seen as a respect thing by the French. They didn't want to be too loud and causing a lot of noise for the athletes, but actually that worked against them. So that was the balance beam final. So getting into Jordan Chiles, so I find this whole thing really sad and kind of confusing, so I'll try to break it down as best I can. But basically Jordan Chiles was in the floor exercise and she went last. So she went last in the floor exercise and she received a 13.66 for her floor routine. But then her coach, Cecile Landy, submitted an inquiry on her behalf saying that her difficulty score was not rated high enough. So because her difficulty score was misscored, she ended up getting an increase of 1/10 of a point, making her score a 13.766, making her the 3rd place medalist instead of 5th place. So this was really dramatic from jump because you could see the juxtaposition in feelings. So the person who actually won 3rd was Ana Barbosu, a Romanian gymnast. And, you know, she was so excited when she got 3rd, but then when she saw that the inquiry made Jordan's score go above her, she got off the stage crying, and it was really sad. And it started this whole drama because then you had a Romanian gymnast named Sabrina Voinia, sorry if I mispronounced that. Sabrina received a 1/10 of a deduction for stepping out of bounds during her floor routine, but a video replay suggested that she actually didn't go out of bounds and that, you know, her score would have been higher than Jordan's even after that adjustment. So this caused further controversy because Sabrina would have placed 3rd if the deduction hadn't been applied. But then I believe, now I could be wrong on this so someone can correct me, but I believe if Sabrina had been 3rd, she would have lost anyway to the tiebreaker between her and Anna. At least that's what I heard. So anyway, it's just a crossfire between these 3 women, but specifically Jordan and Anna. And so then Sabrina and Anna ended up appealing to the CAS, which is the Court of Arbitration for Sport, arguing that Jordan's score was reviewed 4 seconds after the deadline. So they were claiming that Cecile filed the inquiry 4 seconds after the deadline. So basically, for all the gymnasts that compete in these routines, in these floor finals or beam or whatever, each gymnast has 4 minutes to submit an inquiry if they sense that something is wrong, if something needs to be reviewed. They have 4 minutes to submit an inquiry. But because Jordan was last, she only gets a minute to submit. And so they were claiming that she went 4 seconds above, but they ended up saying, no, we didn't go 4 seconds above. So basically, the Court of Arbitration for Sport agreed with the Romanians and said, oh yeah, you guys filed this too late, so Jordan's getting her medal taken away and her score is going back to 13.66, and the award, the bronze, is going to Ana Barbosu. But then USAG provided additional evidence to show that they actually didn't file the inquiry too late. It was actually filed within the right time frame of 47 seconds. So even after they provided that video evidence, it still wasn't accepted by the CAS, which is insane because it's like, okay, so you're gonna take these guys' word for it that we were late, but now we have real video evidence to prove that we weren't, and now you're not going to take it. So then the USAG then claimed that they're not going to give up on Jordan and that they're going to keep fighting for her case, and they're going to take it to the Swiss Federal Tribunal. So really, really crazy, really, really dramatic situation. Really sad because Jordan has been getting so much hate on social media. She's been lambasted. These Romanians have been going up and down her page, just really disgusting racist comments. It's so awful. It's so sad because it's not even Jordan's fault. It's not Jordan's fault. It's not Anna's fault. This is not their fault. This is a judging error. These are judges that didn't even rate the scores properly in the first place, that screwed up the appeals, and so it's like, it's no one's fault. And it's just so sad because Jordan's been getting lambasted like she's a stealer and she stole the bronze and she didn't deserve it, yada, yada, yada. And I just feel really bad because I've been following these girls kind of loosely since the Tokyo Olympics. And I always like Jordan. She's so sweet. She's so supportive. She's always cheering on for everybody. She's so bubbly and kind and just adorable. And, you know, she's the last person that deserves anything like this because she's such a kind, she comes across very kind. I don't know her, you know, personally, but from what I see, she comes across as a very down-to-earth, regular, talented individual, you know? And I just think it's just really upsetting that she has to go through this. And so she stated that she was going to get off social media for her mental health, but she just released a statement yesterday. So I'm going to read or paraphrase what she said. So Jordan basically says that she's overwhelmed by all the love that she's been receiving from USAG, her teammates, her fans, her friends, her family, and that she is devastated that her bronze was being taken away and that the decision feels unjust, even though that they provided conclusive evidence for her to not have to get her bronze taken away. And she really, you know, has done so much for the sport. She's poured her heart and soul into the sport. She has always wanted to compete with integrity. She's going to continue to uphold her values of sportsmanship, fairness, joy in the sport. And this is one of her most challenging moments in her career, but she knows that she'll overcome. So, you know, just really beautiful, mature statement from her. And I think what's even crazier is the fact that no one has ever had their medal taken away for a judging error. It's always been if you were cheating, if you were doping, but never because of a judging error. So it's really, really disappointing because it's literally not Jordan's fault and she's being punished like she did something wrong. And so it's really awful, but she's been getting a lot of support on social media, which is good, drowning off the hate. Still, the hate has been there, which has been insane, but I'm just really proud of Jordan for how she handled herself. And I also want to give credit to Ana Barbosu. Make no mistake, Ana Barbosu has been nothing but gracious throughout this entire process. She's been encouraging Jordan. She has been so sweet in everything she said. And she's been getting a lot of hate as well, even though this is not her fault either. So I've been reading some comments that people don't believe that Ana was being genuine and they don't really believe that Ana really cares and that she's just being fake. But honestly, if you've been following this saga since everything happened like 2 weeks ago, everything Ana has said has been nothing but kind and gracious. Sabrina, on the other hand, has been reposting some questionable stuff. And, you know, Sabrina's 17, so I don't want to come for a 17-year-old, but she reposted a post that was basically talking about why are mentally ill persons allowed to compete in elite competitions. But I heard that Sabrina's mom is like a crazy gymnastics mom. I believe Sabrina's mom is a former gymnast as well. So, you know, I don't want to come for her, but basically I think Ana has been nothing but gracious from the start. It's just a shame that she's in this circumstance. And I think the Romanian Gymnastics Committee and all the Romanian fans deserve the smoke, not Ana herself. At least for Ana and Jordan, they've been nothing but gracious, and I think they deserve the best, and I hope to see them back in LA and in elite gymnastics. I really hope that this isn't the kind of thing that will, you know, destroy their drive for the career, but I won't be surprised if they want to take a long break after something like this, because this is something that they're never going to forget. So the last thing I want to discuss in this whole Olympics breakdown, you know, I'm sure there's a lot more scandals. There was way more scandals in this Olympics, but I feel like if I tried to cover it all, this video would be an hour long, and I work a full-time job. I don't have time to make a video that long, at least not at this time. So I want to talk quickly about Steph Curry's family being disrespected. So Steph Curry and his family were trying to leave a venue, I believe, but I think as they were leaving, the president of France, President Macron, was trying to pass through, and they were saying that you need to wait because President Macron is coming. And apparently one of the police hit Steph Curry's child in the head, and that became a whole thing. And you could see Ayesha Curry was really rattled, and it was a whole situation. And so some people felt that, oh, Steph's family's being entitled because you're not in your home country, blah, blah, blah. I think at the end of the day, you don't need to be hitting a baby. I mean, I feel like that's pretty common sense. We don't need to be hitting children. You know, if that's what actually happened. I don't know if that's exactly what happened, but that's what people are saying. So I just think that's really disrespectful, really awful. Again, a lot more controversies to this Olympics. I just wanted to talk about the ones that stuck out to me the most and the ones that I had the energy to talk about. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my breakdown of this Olympics. And yeah, just let me know what y'all thought of the whole shebang down below. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye!